I watched another movie last night. Um, I record these back to back, by the way, which is why I'm wearing the same shirt as I was a couple of days ago. I finished recording that one 2 minutes ago. But I finished watching a new film last night, and that was Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, the 1948 comedy starring Cary Grant and Myrna Loy. It's really not funny. And I don't think it's a matter of it dating badly. I've seen a number of movies relatively recently from that time that are comedies from the late 40s, the beginning of the 50s. And some elements of them, in terms of the humour, doesn't date. Laurel and Hardy, I think, are evergreen. I watched the original version of Father of the Bride with Spencer Tracy, and that had a similar tone to it, of the upper middle class professional suffering through this long, agonising process involving his home and his family. But the difference there is that there is a slight absurdity to it. With Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House, it's about a New York advertising executive, so it's shades of North by Northwest, which Grant would star in a decade later, who, along with his family, live in a relatively small, cramped apartment. But he and his wife conceived the notion of buying a property out in Connecticut, commuting distance from New York. When they finally buy it, they realise that the house is disintegrating, and everyone tells them to knock it down and build a new house from the ground up. And it's their various trials and tribulations of dealing with their new home and its construction and all various things. There isn't a single funny joke in the entire film, and in fact I found the whole thing really depressing, because it just turns into this very glum, bleak drama about this couple going through this incredibly traumatic, painful ordeal of having to build a new house from the ground up, of the incredible expense, $38,000, of everything going wrong, of contractors being difficult, of getting locked in rooms. Everything just goes wrong, and it's never done in an absurdist or light-hearted manner. It just feels depressingly real. Years later, there was an unofficial remake, which is perhaps a little more current, The Money Pit, starring Tom Hanks and Shelley Long. I think it said Shelley Duvall. Shelley Long. Which takes the same notion of fixing up a dilapidated house and all the sagas and expense and crazy antics that leads to. But The Money Pit takes a much more absurdist notion. It's deliberately a little bit slightly too far in being realistic. So one character gets trapped in the floor for a day because he just falls through a hole while standing on a carpet, and he gets trapped like this. The stairs disintegrate, and someone has to leap to grab onto the landing. There is an exaggeration element. There's none of that with Mr. Blandings. It's all, these are things that could really happen. These are all very realistic, and there's no jokes that are at all funny or not horribly signposted, so it just feels like an ordeal. It's an ordeal for the characters, and it's an ordeal for me. The film is apparently hailed as a classic. I would disagree. I did not enjoy it. I would not recommend it. If you want to watch a comedy with Cary Grant, watch literally anything else he's ever done. Or watch The Money Pit, which is great.